we kind of see that with what Jokers. How did that come about? Any stories about how the concept of that came about?
Not a lot. We just want to do like a card concept, and Python got involved with that too, doing some of the artwork on there. I think the thing I remember the most was doing the voices. There was me, Bill Futzenbroider, I think it might have been Mark Ritchie, and one other person. We had a tank of helium and a bag of balloons. And we'd do like 15, 20-minute takes of this and then take a break. So you didn't pass out. And then we started making all these different voices and things. We came up with the speech, but then it would come out like a little mouse almost. So.
That's great. That's so great that you guys can be so creative out there. Well, you got another question? Okay, hang on. So I didn't mention this in the previous panel with John, but he was telling me that he is actually on the back glass of one of his games, which I did not know, and that is Black Rose. Sorry. And are you on any of your games that you know of?
I'm trying to remember. I know Python always hit things in the playfield.
Yeah.
And I might be one of the people on one of the games there. I can't remember off the top of my head, maybe Comet or Cyclone. Because I know he had other people from Waves in there.
Yeah, cool.
Or sometimes they would hire our initials somewhere in that class in the upper work.
Yeah, I've heard that. Okay, so Fire. Very unique game. And tell us a little bit about how you came about doing Fire. Is that something that you wanted to do, or was that handed to you?
That's something I was talking about with Mark Springer. We kind of came up with the concept together on that, and he wanted to do it sort of like a period piece with the old-fashioned horse and wagon. So we decided to go with it that way, and I just tried to come up with a good layout. Taking different shots and trying to put out the fires with the rules. If this one's flashing, hit that way before the next one catches on fire, and then go up there and break to the window and rescue somebody.
Great game. That's awesome. So was it hard coming up with that? It has some fire effects in the buildings. How did that come about?
The way I came up with the idea was that we had a fireplace, this place I used to live before, and instead of putting logs, we had an artificial log in there. And the artificial logs had this little wheel that rotated in there. So I brought it into work, and we tried to make up a miniature version. We took a plexiglass tube and hooked up a motor to it, and took a clear piece of Mylar, and we had artwork drawn on it and tried it out, and it worked out great. Just trying to get the fire effect.
That's great. It's amazing how creative you guys can be, and it sounds like you guys had a lot of fun.
You try to come up with a good idea, but you have to do it the cheapest way possible.
Yeah. So you roll into the office, hey guys, look at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
See, the hardest thing I think we had to do was when we did the Miss Multi. We had to have a beam, because most of the octos you only have like a little range of maybe a half inch. We had to have one that goes across the length of the playfield. So we had to put like a little shield on there to guide it and sort of amplify it. So it was like a TV remote to get it to work right, because you had a sense where the ball was on the magnet.
That's a neat feature too. Well, back to Fire, I have one more question about that. There's a Champagne edition. What was the purpose of the Champagne edition?
That was something they wanted to go into. We used to call them the fern bars, when they had the grass rails in them, the plants in the bars. They wanted a game that would fit into there, and not just look like a game. They wanted to look like a piece of furniture. So it came up with a wood grain cabinet and grass rails on the side and grass legs.
So a fern bar being like a restaurant?
Yeah, like Fridays and some of those places used to be.
Yes, with Charlie's, that type of place. Fantastic. All right, any other questions? I don't see anybody standing. Oh, I'm sorry. Allison, I forgot about you. I apologize.
That's okay. First of all, I see this room is very full, and Barry is here, you guys. He's in front of you. So I can't imagine that you don't have questions for him. But, you can ask him if he prefers flippers or popovers. He'll probably answer that. But,
yeah, what's the answer?
I don't know. That's not my question. Somebody else can ask that. So my question is, and I know this is perhaps generalizing a little bit, but every female I've ever met loves bad cats. And I was just wondering, when it comes to designing a game or when it comes to picking a theme, do you approach gender neutrally? Do you say, or is it prominently pinball, like, you know, it's always targeted at guys? But this one seems to be a little odd, if that's not the case. So did you give any thought to male, female, or was it just this is the game that came out? Because as you said, Python was a little strange.
Well, when I did the carnival games, you know, the Cyclone and Comet, I tried to appeal to everybody, because I know most of the games that we were making were like macho games, you know, like the Steve Richards games, the high speed, and the shooting games, you know, F-14 and things you had going. And I wanted something that everybody would play. And I mean, we put the games on location, the women were playing them, the kids were playing them, they weren't going to be playing games. It seemed like the game was friendly to them.
It is very family friendly. So dog or cat person?
Cat.
That makes sense, because you didn't make bad dogs, you know?
I like dogs when I have cats.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Oh, we got another question here.
Yeah, I wrote it down so I don't get nervous. Barracora is credited to you, Roger Sharp, and Steve Epstein. What did they contribute? And then what did you bring in to finish it up?
It was sort of similar to what happened with Doctor Who, where somebody came up with a game drawing and wanted me to help them out with it, and they had basically redoing the whole game. Because Steve Epstein and Roger Sharp had the idea for the game at the time, and brought me a drawing, and they basically built it up, and it just doesn't work, you know. So let me do this, let me do that to it, so I basically relayed out the play field, but we all still kept credit for it, because it was their idea originally. And as far as the Barracora, I think that was something, this advertising posters was a company we used to use to do our artwork before we had our own in-house artists. So I think they're the ones that kind of came up with the crazy artwork that was on there. It was like a woman barracuda.
Yeah.
Now, Dana, you have a jungle lord.
Yes, we do. One more. Joel's way in the back, so he can't take me from right there. Yes, it's a great game. It's a lot of fun.
It was one of the old two-level games.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very fun.
Yeah.
So, speaking of games that were around that era, I'm sorry, Dana, do you have another question?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Joust. Please, you got to tell us a story about Joust, because wow, that is crazy.
We basically did a takeoff on the Joust video game. We wanted a head-to-head game that you could play. But I had to try and figure out a way so if there's only one person, you could still play it. If you're playing one player version, you're playing the other side, flipping the balls toward you. And the idea was basically get your balls onto the other guy's side and shoot it between his flippers so he'd lose a life.
That's great. I've never played one. Who here's played Joust?
It's awesome.
You like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great for expos and festivals.
Yeah, I'll bet. I wish there were one here. Yeah, that's very cool. All right, well, so Barry, what's next? What's next for you? What's on your agenda after you leave the expo here and this year and next year? What are you looking to do?
Things work out, I may start working on games again, it depends, you know. I've got a couple people that are talking to me about stuff, you know.
You hear that, guys?
See what happens, you know, take it from there.
Yeah.
Well, Barry, you just show them your poster and your cards and just give me a job. I can do it. Believe me, I can do it. All right, so, I have a question here.
Which game are you proudest that you designed?
I mean, all of them really, it's like, they're like my children. My kids on there, so. I mean, I like Comet a lot, I like Doctor Who, I like Dracula, Pinball, Cyclone.
So, when you were making Space Shuttle, what was your initial idea to involve NASA in that with those designs, or were you thinking more of an abstract sci-fi picture with that kind of aspect?
The original idea really was Joe Kamikow and Larry DeMar. They're the ones that were talking about doing it. They wanted to do the game, but they couldn't seem to get it working the way they wanted it. So the idea, they wanted me to help them out with it. And then I just said, I just redid the whole playfield. Because the layout that they had just wouldn't work right, it just didn't look good. But they originally had the concept, and Joe was already working on the licensing for it.
Also on Dracula with the Miss Multiball. So it was originally supposed to be an Alien 3 themed table.
Right.
What was that Miss Multiball originally like? Was it going to be a face hugger or maybe an alien running across the field? What was the original idea behind that?
I can't remember offhand, but it had something to do with that, though. Something that would tie in with the game. Don't make you think you're trying to, kill or capture an alien. Because people are always telling us for years that, you got magnets in the games. Something wrong with it. So we decided to put a magnet in it.
We'll work it into the theme somehow, right?
Thank you.
Great. So I do a podcast called Game Room Junkies, and all with my partner Preston, and so we talk about people's game rooms. So I have to ask this: do you have a game room now in your house?
Not anymore. I used to have 12 games at one time. I was still working at Williams. Little by little, sold them off.
Right. So, all right, this is going to be a tough question. This will be what if. If you could choose one game to own in your house of yours, so I know you've already asked what is your favorite, but if you could just choose one, you're going to have to play for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Well, the last game I had was Doctor Who. That was the last one I sold off.
Okay.
So I probably want that one back.
Yeah. So do you like the new Doctor Who series?
I haven't watched much, but I've seen a little bit. I'm still hooked on the old one.
Oh, really?
My son likes the new one a lot.
Really good. Really good. All right, so if you could choose a game, if you had to choose a game that wasn't one of your designs, so we threw those out the window, but you could choose one of the other designers' games, what would you choose?
That's a tough one. So many good games out there.
John chose Firepower.
I mean, I like Adam's Family. I mean, I like John's game Creature. It's a good game. That was a lot of fun playing that.
And you didn't have to say one of his games.
No, I know. I'm just saying I like that. It's hard to pick just one.
There's too many good games.
I mean, Steve Ritchie had some great games. I just like the Terminator game he did.
Right?
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to think of the games like when there was at Williams, the games I was playing a lot that weren't my games. Because we always got to play everybody else's games.
Right, and so they were all in there to see what everybody else had?
Oh, yeah, we set up, like John said, we set up at the bottom of the stairs and you play it, or you go up and, we had some up in engineering too in our offices, we play the games up there.
Dude, kind of, why didn't I think of that type thing? Yeah. Well, let's do, oh, we got another question.
I got another one if we have time.
We have time, we're gonna do the drawing here in a few minutes.
Okay, great. Hey, I'm wondering about the work environment at Williams or any other pinball-related place. I was wondering, between the designers, were you guys very collaborative? Were you very open? Or were you like secret, making sure that you came up with the best thing that the other people didn't know about, so you could, wow them and surprise them at the end of it?
You know, a lot of it was kind of secretive. I mean, everybody had doors on their offices, they let them keep them closed, they want you to see what they're working on, so you don't steal their ideas.
Within the same company, just to be really
Yeah.
clear. So that's not collaborative at all.
But if you want advice with somebody, you want to ask somebody that, you got an idea for this, I mean, they'd help you.
But only in the neutral zone.
Right.
Was there any particular aspect of any machine you worked on that you remember, like holding it closest to your chest to keep it, secret because you thought it was just so special and you wanted to like shock everybody with how awesome it was?
I mean, the pinball bank, you try to keep it as quiet as possible, but then you got the mechanical engineers drawing it up and working on mechanisms and testing them, so it's hard to hide things. But at least they don't know exactly what it's doing or where it's going in the game. Other people.
It's like the way the Army designs things. It's like everybody knows a little part, but how's the software going to drive this? What's it going to do? How about in terms of functionality that you may have borrowed from another designer? Like maybe somebody created something and you're like, wow, that's awesome, and I just took it and put it in my next game. Or I modified it a little bit. Does any particular feature stand out?
Not a lot. I mean, there's been a lot of things that we all kind of just switched on, especially with the magnets, I mean, they had magnets on games years ago, and I put one on Gorgar, and then Steve Ritchie came up with putting a magnet on, I think it was on fire, it was the Black Knight, he had the Magna Save.
Mhm.
Then I took it a step further and had a Magna Save where you can have like 3 chances to use it. You know, that somebody else would use to do something else with the magnet. When I came up with the magnet that went on Dracula, then, you know, that was taken off a game that Pat Lawler had done. He had a magnet that would lift the ball, it was Bonsai Run. It would take the ball and drop it off on top. So kind of use that mechanism when he did something different with it.
Okay, well, thank you again.
All right, Joel, is he still in the building? Come on down, Joel. We're gonna do this drawing for the space shuttle. Shannon, do we have anything else?
We have quite a few other processes. We want to do this first draft.
Okay.
Decide.
I just didn't see them here.
They're all done here. That's why we're
Okay, how many prizes are we drawing before the big one?
10.
Okay.
So right after 10.
All right. Joel, if you will dump off those, those tickets into the big black bucket and swirl them around, and then bring it over here, and we'll let Barry draw some prizes, and then we'll let Barry draw for space shuttle.
And just as you draw them, come to me and you can pick the prize. That way we get it in order. You pick from what's up.
What if they're not here?
We'll write, you don't have names on people not here.
Yeah.
They gotta pick up their sheet sometime.
That's right.
That's right.
You guys brought a lot of games.
By the way,
And thank you. Thank you for that. All right, bring it on over.
Very few people.
So this is not for space shuttle, this is for smaller ones.
Patrick,
Yes.
will you clarify if they win the smaller prizes first, does that eliminate them? One at a time they come out, they stay out?
Yes.
Are you good?
Yes.
Then you still got their teams.
Yeah, if you bought 5 games, you got 5 tickets in there.
I've been out to ones.
Oh, you got it.
David Shields.
We have his info.
Yes, we do.
We will find.
Will you run that up?
Yep.
So that Shannon can write on his prize patch? This is like a game show.
Have a winner.
There's gotta be an A.
It's either Scott A. Hale or Scott A.